I just tagged you, Steve, on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the On Davos webinar series. My name is Robin, and I'm the community coordinator on the On Davos core team, together with Mark, Stephanie, and Dorothea. For those that are new to On Davos is a community-driven conference that runs in Davos alongside the World Economic Forum. And our purpose is to give everyone a stage to democratize, humanize, and also bring action to Davos. In our previous webinar series, we focused on continuing the conversation between summits. Now, with 46 days left to Davos, we are shifting gears. So we welcome you to the Road to Davos webinar series. And this series is all about preparing for Davos together, helping you plan, position, and also get ready for the most intentional week of the year. And before we begin, we would like to propose a few Zoom guidelines so that we can all use this hour as intentional as we can. So first of all, we encourage everyone to turn on your cameras so that we can see each other from across the world. And who knows, you might see somebody here in Davos that you randomly bump into already. We also encourage you to use the chat actively to ask questions or connect with others during our session. Feel free to share your LinkedIn and also invite others for conversation, because the Davos experience begins already now. Also, during our session, you can use the hands function if you want to ask a question or share something. And also remember to keep the energy visible by using the reactions. Lastly, this session will be recorded and streamed to YouTube and also podcasts for reviewing or sharing with others later. And with that said, today's session dives into the real mechanics of navigating Davos, how the ecosystem works, where influence flows, and how to position yourself with intention in one of the densest decision-making environments in the world. We're joined by Steve Suarez, CEO of Horizon X, and also Mark Turrell, founder of On Davos, who bring together decades of insider experience to help you move strategically and intentionally through Davos, and also will offer a first look at the Quantum program. So with that, I welcome you, Steve and Mark, to the stage. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody.
Hi, hi,
Hello,
thank you.
hello from Dubai.
Oh, very nice. I hear Dubai is a hotbed of technology, AI, and quantum, but we'll get into that. I mean, there's going to be a reason why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I am Mark. I'm calling you. I'm calling in from Berlin. So nice and quiet, very peaceful, and lovely to see so many of you here. And we're going to have a good session now. We're doing this session, by the way, for those of you. This is like a Davos session. This is a Davos chat that Steve and I were going to have anyway, and we decided that we bring you in.
Yeah, so
So
we're to be planning with you guys actively on the call and kind of just work through it. So definitely use the chat function and ask a whole bunch of questions because I'm probably got a whole bunch of questions for Mark as I go through this. I know Mark is the navigator. He's the guy that knows how to navigate Davos, how to get in and out of all the great meetings. And my first interaction into Davos luckily somebody sent me a list of all the stuff and I tried to find who the author of this list was, and obviously it was Mark, and so Mark became a great resource, and so that's why I decided to call him a year later to say, hey, I want to join your stuff in Davos. But it's hard to believe, Mark, that we're only 40, what was it? What did Robin say? 43 days or 45 days away?
46, thankfully. No,
46.
43 would make me panic. 46 is like, no, totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, every year I say I'm going to prepare this year. It's not going to sneak up on me. I'm going to get a lot done. And here we are again. Uh, yeah, we still have some time, but it sneaks up on you really quickly.
Well, and I mean, especially if we look at, let's say, I mean, most people have holidays.
Yeah.
And there's the Christmas season, the holiday seasons are coming out, which means that for many people, the last week of December is kind of out. I don't know,
Mm,
families, turkeys, or whatever your chosen stuff is. Um, and so right now, then it means that it isn't, let's say, a clear 46. It's whatever, you're missing 10 days.
yeah.
Um, and often people have businesses. I remember when, I mean, I took my first company public and I had 40, 50 people. And for us, the big scramble was, I think I'd said that 15th of December, everything has to close by the 15th of December. Maybe you squeak it over the line on the 16th or the 17th, but if it isn't closed by the 15th, we've got a bit of a problem. So Davos is kind of like that too. But I think that's also why I think when we were chatting, we said, like, okay, well, how does sponsorship work at Davos? Because it's a pretty material thing, and people have to work it out
Absolutely.
before Christmas.
Absolutely. And especially since space fills up pretty quickly, right? So everybody all of a sudden wants to have all of their events going. And I know we've been talking about quantum, and it's funny, Mark, because the first time I went to Davos, nobody talked about quantum. It was kind of the whole blockchain AI craze,
Yeah.
and people talking about it. The next year, maybe one person talked about it. Last year, I started to see it really pick up, and then this year, there's already a whole bunch of people that are want to have meetings on quantum, talk about quantum, and obviously quantum security. So I'm actually quite excited of the events that are going on this year, and it's great that you're hosting this because we can kind of tell people that are interested on how do they sponsor, how do they get involved, how do they get engaged. If they want to come and speak, talk about their products, you're definitely the right person to do that.
Well, and I think and so remember that sort of brings us in like, I think what's interesting about setting up a quantum program is that, I mean, if you were to stand on Zurich railway station, just shout out things. I mean, yes, you might end up finally meeting somebody, but if you go to the quantum session at the Undava Summit to talk about quantum and quantum investing, because that's your thing, the odds of you meeting the perfect person is 100%. And
Yeah,
the question is not, do I meet one? The question is, okay, I've got 15 and they fit into different places. And this is
absolutely.
something that I've always been, let's say, obsessed about is, I mean, how do you make the right connections in a room?
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, well, I mean, I love social events. I mean, but there's social events are good, but they're also very draining if you speak to the wrong people, or if people try to do small talk with me. And I can't do small talk. But right now, sitting in a quantum investor event, a quantum event, talking to two VCs and a corporate VC about how do you make strategic investment, that's an interesting conversation because that's my
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you look at kind of the explosion of the valuations of some of these companies, they're just going through the roof. And I think what AI created was a bit of FOMO because people felt like they were missing out or they missed out of AI. And they're like, you know what? I don't want to miss out from the next big event. And right now they're looking at quantum as that next big event. So they're trying to get ahead of it and say, all right, how do I get in quantum? How do I invest in quantum? And I think that's why, part of what we're looking to put together is helping people navigate that. Not only navigate that, also navigate Davos. And that's a lot of what you do, right? As far as
Yeah.
getting people access and hotel badges and all of that great stuff.
Well, and I think, I mean, what it highlights then, I mean, Davos, there is a business around Davos. So if you're there in Davos to go skiing, there are better weeks in the year to go skiing. If you're there for beautiful mountain scenery, I mean, it's a beautiful
Mhm.
place, but there are other towns in Switzerland. You go to St. Moritz instead.
Yeah.
I think Davos is this really, really interesting place where it's all business.
Mhm.
Even the NGOs, they're still hustling for money. It's all business. Even the countries pitching whatever, come to our beautiful country and build a factory here, all business.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, this year, I mean, so Trump is definitely confirmed to come. And so far, it's meant to be the most number of of state heads ever. So for those people who believed earlier this year that WEF was on its way out, well, they were wrong, so don't trust them. Just like because everyone's thinking, so it's going to be big, and what I'm thinking is, and I know that there are a lot of people that are looking to sponsor events, and
Yeah.
now they're trying to work out how do we tie into people that are in the American ecosystem, because that's where the force of whatever the planet's going right now, wrongly or otherwise. And the thing is that you need to be on the bandwagon, tied to the bandwagon,
Mm.
because if you're off the reservation, people might not care so much. But
Yeah.
it's Davos is all business. Good.
Exactly. And actually, I'm getting a lot of inbound about how do we leverage quantum to solve different things around optimization, looking at water conservation, just different aspects. And there's a lot of family offices, a lot of investments that are looking to say, all right, how do I first understand quantum? And second, how do I invest? How do I get involved? And I think that's some of the things that we're going to be working to dispel and actually encourage people. And you're like you said, you're going to have the right people in the room. And those are the people that you want to engage with, and it is a process, right? On, how do you get involved in quantum? It does take a lot of energy out of you. I like you love social events. And my wife will be the first one to tell you that I actually get energized by meeting other people and listening to other people. And she wonders, how do you get all this energy to drive that? But Davos is one of those things that really stretch my energy to the point that I even get tired and I'm like, oh wow, and you just have to, but there is a strategies, there's ways around it. And it would be great to kind of cover some of those
Mhm.
strategies on this call. But also mention to everybody, please do not hold back, ask your questions. You got Mark here he knows the ways in, around, how do you make things happen? If you're interested in sponsoring or getting involved in quantum, uh, happy to help out. That's kind of what I do. I educate people, and I actually like to be kind of that front door into quantum computing for a lot of executives.
And as you were for me as well, by the way. I mean, there's something that you said that I thought was quite interesting was on the family office side. So about 4 or 5 years ago, there weren't that many family offices in Davos. I think maybe they just let UBS make their decisions for them. Don't know. But there's been a change anyway that's been bubbling up through next generation wealth,
Yeah.
through more and more people wanting to be hands-on, wanting to also do meaningful things. And there's a certain amount of whatever ayahuasca retreats you can do on Ibiza. And once you've done probably five, you might have done enough. So what I've found then is that the family office community in Davos has gone from maybe 50, 60 people. And to some extent, they would even not even be in Davos. They deliberately do it in clusters so that nobody knew who they were. Fair enough. I think it was around 5 years ago that one of the ex-Microsoft guys, he was asked to curate a tech program for a small group of family offices. Now what's happened is that um, I think so. Sure, you can drive around Lake Zurich, and UBS will allow you to sort of drive some Ferraris. Sure. But I think what's much more interesting is when you go to Davos and you spend a week and you say, "Oh, okay, this morning we're going to do space in the morning. We're going to then get seriously into quantum. Then we're going to do a little bit of philanthropy, active philanthropy. What are we going to do? Then we're going to go back into quantum because I've got some extra questions and I can still meet you.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about new fund structures. Then I want to invest in the company. And then I want to go party with in a Burning Man feather costume." So I thought,
Exactly.
okay, then maybe that's just my family, but
No, I mean, but you missed out Barry's piano bar as well, right? So you definitely have to do
the
Barry.
pilgrimage. Yes, it is the sacred altar of Davos.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, by the way, inside, so it looks as though a piano bar at the Hotel Europe is not going to be accessible this year.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So the Indian government and the Indian states have taken over the whole of piano bar, whole of Hotel Europe.
Oh,
So
wow.
that means that it's Barry's. The next thing is that Barry's gets harder and harder to get into because
Yeah,
it's actually Barry's is the Cloudflare lounge,
yeah, yeah,
and Cloudflare are realizing that they might as well use their lounge for private events because we're
yeah.
Cloudflare. And
Yeah.
so Barry's, you might end up having to queue outside at 1 o'clock in the morning to get into Barry's. I mean, it's still you have to do it. It's pilgrimage.
Yeah. Well, I've been lucky. They like me. I don't know. I've got one of those distinctive faces, and they point and they're like, "That guy, he can come in." So hopefully, I'll keep being nice to the Cloudflare guys and see if I can get in.
I have the opposite. They say like, "I know him." He's like, "It's okay. I mean, like I can handle it."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
so it's the maybe then so family offices is one group, investors is another group, and so Davos is about 30% investors.
yeah.
So and this is a big deal in that they're most investors are still looking for money because they've got this because they're successful. They have fund two, fund three, and fund four. Anything that they've invested in will need Series B, C, and D. Quite often, if you're managing a fund, you need to do an M&A, merge it into something to make it bigger, etc. So, I mean, how have you found investors in general, and then quantum specifically? What's the
Well,
appetite like?
I mean, I think it's really good, and I think, like I said, more people are getting engaged in quantum. I'm actually being asked to do some education sessions there for some family offices, very high level. So there is immense interest, and I could tell you that this technology, people are still learning about it, and I'm happy to be in a position to where I can educate people not only about the opportunities, but also the threats, right? So the security threats that it poses to cryptography, like RSA and elliptical cryptography. And that's what really wakes people up. And so when you talk about things that put your money in jeopardy, people pay attention. And quantum is one of those things that if you don't want to hear about what the opportunities and everything it can do, you definitely should be paying attention on the threats. And the World Economic Forum has been putting out guidance about quantum computing and how to protect yourself against kind of the raise of the increase of these quantum computers and what they do. I'm not a person that likes to fearmonger. I think it is a balance of looking at the opportunities and understanding what those opportunities are. But I think what's great about having these conversations at Davos is the quality of the people that you're engaging with are really there to do, serious projects, look at where to invest, what to do. And everybody wants to network. So you look around the room, and typically, if you're kind of shy or whatever, it's kind of hard. People are there to meet other people, and they want to network. So I see that there's a poll
Oh,
here.
Hollisby, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
cool. How many times? 10 times plus veteran. Ooh, do I have to?
yeah, yeah.
Am I allowed to vote?
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, you're a veteran, so well,
I'm
there's 10
quite a
times or
veteran.
more, right?
Well, actually, so I mean, how do you? Good question. I mean, one question: how do you find who is serious? So, if you're looking at quantum and you're like a quantum expert, I mean, do you give people like, okay, what are your three questions? And based on that, you answer like you're like a beginner, serious expert, or
Well, listen, everybody's a beginner when it comes to quantum. You can kind of say, "Hey, we're quantum experts." And I actually, when somebody tells me they're a quantum expert, that kind of scares me because the reality is the technology is so nascent that there's very few people in the world that, and there's so many different complicated uh, branches of quantum that there isn't somebody that kind of knows all of it. There's people that may know specific parts of it. So it's good to kind of have that conversation. The good news is that I've got enough knowledge that I can be a bit dangerous to the point that I'll know if somebody's BSing me or not. And I think to your earlier points, you want to kind of have conversations and make sure that they're fruitful conversations. The minute you realize, hey, this is not really going anywhere, there's no value there. I think it's in your interest and helping the other person to say, hey, I'm moving on, or I'm going to go grab a drink, or, something like that, because there's so many interesting people to meet. And you can have a plan on, this is what I found, Mark, and I'd love to hear you can have a plan to go to Davos and you could put a whole schedule together hour by hour. That plan goes out the window as soon as you find the most interesting person and they start talking to you. And then you sit there in 2 hours, kind of going back and forth and just vibing together. And I think being dynamic, being able to be that flexible will add to that experience for you in Davos. I know it has for me.
Well, and I think that too. I mean, I pioneered the sort of pitch perfect ABC for Davos.
Yeah.
So, and that was then when I meet people, the thing is to say, what brings you to Davos? So
Mm.
ideally, let the other person speak, because then you can decide how you pitch what you say based on what they say. And so typically people then say, hello, I am A.
Yeah.
I am here to do B, and what I'm looking for is C. And so there might be, hello, I am Brian. I'm here because I'm speaking and sponsoring the Real World Asset Tokenization Conference. And what I'm looking for are partners and investors for our Series A round.
Yeah.
But what's fun then is that it allows that person listening to basically get a set of hooks. And based on the hooks, particularly if you're not selfish, but you realize that, let's say, helping karma is a thing. So instead of getting direct help, like I help you now, you help me back.
Yeah.
This is I help you because at some point help rolls itself around again.
Yeah.
So quite often, just because of the way the Davos works, for all I know, while you were queuing for to go to the toilet earlier in the day, you met somebody that is absolutely perfect for doing so. You're like, you know what, you two should speak. So here's their LinkedIn to take a picture, and then you say, well, okay, well I'm here. I do E. I'm here for F, and I do G. And maybe they go, holy shit, you do G. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or no, like so. Well, good luck with that. Because time is precious. Now, I find anybody that is sort of really likes sort of classic chit chat and small talk, I find them instantly boring and I have to leave because it's too damn expensive to do chit chat. I'll do chit chat next week. I could do like twice as much chit chat. I hate chit chat, but I
Yeah.
don't care
Yeah.
how where you flew in from. I don't care about your chalet. Don't care.
Well, I guess if anybody on this call has never been to Davos and do want to go, I definitely suggest you get with Mark because he definitely knows how to navigate and how to get through, and what are the areas that you have to. I've got an excellent, and you know what, I've just through serendipity, and there's a lot of serendipity that happens at Davos. I can tell you that you brought in about waiting in queue. When I was waiting in queue for my badge, I was there talking to one of my MIT professors and telling him about how impressed I am with a master class that I had just sat through. And I was telling him that there was this great FBI profiler called Chris Voss, and how I sat through his master class just a week before, and he was amazing. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice, and he's right in front of me in line, and he turns around, and it's Chris Voss. And and it just
Frost.
happens like I'm like, oh my God, I was just talking about it. But it's kind of that serendipity, and it's surprising how often that happens at Davos, right?
Well, so I actually did a paper called "The Spooky Math of Coincidence," and so again, I'm not going to tell you. So okay, so if there are 30 people in a room, what is the percentage likelihood of two or more people sharing a birthday, a day and month? What do you reckon, Steve?
That if there's 30 people in the room,
30 people in a room. What are the odds? Percentage, big number or small number?
I would say it's well, when I say big number, I don't know, 10%,
71%.
71. Wow.
So it goes into, so my birthday's the 3rd of March. What's your birthday?
January 16th.
Okay, so we could ask in our group right now of 60 something people how many match against us. And then 3 against 27, 4 against 26. In our head, most people are egotistical. They think, what are the odds of somebody matching me?
Yeah.
This is the wrong mathematics. This is Bayesian mathematics.
Wow.
Bayesian probability. And
Yeah,
what it
yeah, yeah.
means though, and what it means then is that the odds, like when as soon as you have a large group and you say, this is what I do. So if you mention a place, a company, or a thing, the odds of getting any match is extremely high. A specific match might be quite low. Although in Davos it
Mhm.
can be quite high. So right now, I mean, the whole basically the engineering of Davos and undavos is based on the spooky math of coincidence.
Yeah.
And I know that when I went there and there was only about 3,000 people, it was quite hard to get a match for me. But I worked out if I just persuade 20,000 people come, the odds of me getting a match is more than 100%, and the odds of others getting a match is more than 100%. I just needed more volume, which is why more people come. But we're
Uh,
playing the serendipity game.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know what, Mark, let me just ask you, because there might be some people on this call that they have companies, they want to sponsor, they want to showcase their
Yeah.
companies. Davos is an amazing place to say, hey, we sponsored certain events. And you have a great location for it. And
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of people kind of going to different rooms and going to. So if I were a company that wanted to sponsor a family office or investment, and I wanted to kind of put my branding out there, I wanted an opportunity to speak on one of your panels.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through how does that work? What would it take? Do I just pick up the phone and call you? What do I need to do?
So let's just do a few things. So always happy to have a chat because I mean, to some extent, then I mean, this is a conversation and relationship type of business. This isn't you just click a link and whatever, spend 50,000 to buy lunch. So it doesn't quite work like that. So a lot of the things are also then working out. Let's say, what do you really want and how do you make it fit?
Mm.
So I mean, in fact, what I'll put in here is I'll take a little bit of a risk. I'll put my calendar link is in here if anybody would like to do a follow-up call. But if you do, I'm like focus on sponsorship, please. I mean, it's nice to say hello. But let me walk you through pretty much my last 2 days because
Yeah.
maybe this is a good example. So the last call that I was with one of the major banks. And they have a branch of their bank which is doing, let's say, lots and lots of new stuff, and
Hmm.
nobody knows about the new stuff.
Yeah.
Now, they're in the Congress Center. So sure, but they know that they pay 400,000 to be in the Congress Center. The CEO has got 6 minutes on stage. The CEO will not mention the new stuff because there's only 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And so right now it's as though they completely waste a year's worth of traction.
Yeah.
For them, I worked out the best thing for them to do is take one of the Undavos Summit programs, because let's say if health is their topic, and by the way, health isn't their topic, but if health was their topic, say, okay, sponsor health at Davos, because that's a whole half-day program.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Then, if you're sort of like a time, this, by the way, for in terms of cost, you're looking at around 25,000 gives you the sponsor. Now, what you're doing is you're covering the production costs. Switzerland is expensive anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, get out of the train at Landquart. You've got 2 minutes. Go and buy a sandwich and a drink and a chocolate. And if you won't have much change out of 50.
Yeah.
So it's also Davos. If you've tried to get accommodation in Davos, there are literally thousands of millionaires and billionaires coming into town. There are
Yeah.
only 2,500 hotel rooms and 2,700 WEF guests. So right now, demand and supply, even if you didn't do economics, this is a pretty easy thing. So there's a demand and supply thing coming in. Now, what we have then is that, so 25,000 is, let's say, covers you to sponsor a program. Now, benefit of this, you don't have to organize it yourself.
Right.
Because if you wanted to organize your own program, you could easily look at 60 to 100,000 to do your own thing. And there are 10 things you have to do right as a minimum. If you get any one of them wrong, you're basically fucked. 8 of those things are obvious that you shouldn't get wrong. 2 of them are secret things. And right now, if you screw up any. Now, what does this mean? I had one company, a big communications firm, so they should know how this thing works. They paid 80,000 3 years ago to do an event at the Belvedere. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to do Thursday morning, 8 a.m.
Oh no.
They had a 6-person team. They had an 80-person room. Only 12 people turned up, including most of their team.
Oh
80,000
no.
in the toilet, and you lose your job.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
But
Well, I
so,
mean,
okay.
it's 8 a.m. on a Thursday after Barry's bar. I mean, you pretty much have to just leave the bar and go straight there.
I mean, well, and also there are more and more people that come in from Zurich. So there's certain types of
Oh yeah,
groups of people that you can get. So maybe if it's the yoga people that go to sleep at 10, I mean, they're great. I
yeah,
typically see the morning people when I'm going to bed, but that's just, I mean, I do it a little bit less these years, but certainly over the years. But just going back to then, so what does it mean then if they get a sponsor? Is that you want to have a seat at the table, you want to be part of the conversation. When you are sponsoring at more scale, you have at least a little bit of say over what the narrative is. At the
yeah,
same time, though, at least for our summit, the Davos Summit, we don't have pay to speak. Now, might be a little bit subtle, but the thing is that, so there are a lot of, let's say, Web3 and crypto events. So those pretty much pioneered pay to speak. Also, let me just say, I was just at an AI conference in Paris where big tech companies pay large amounts of money and they seem to get their most boring person on stage to do the keynote pay to speak as well. I
yeah,
don't like that because I want to be the pay to speak thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so Steve and I right now, for example, so Steve, you're curating the quantum program, and if
That's
I
right.
come to you to say, here is a company, they're paying me 10,000 to speak, can you fit them in? And you
Yeah.
don't like them, what would you tell me?
Well, I've already told you before. I
You've
think
already done
last
that.
year, I told you last year, I don't put these people on the panel or don't put this person on the panel. They're just kind of the wrong people. And I think the good thing is that we're definitely going to bring quality and we're going to bring people that are talking about real value and what they're doing. So yes, we are going to be very picky on
Well,
who we have.
and what probably people don't realize is that we're picky on two sides. We're picky on who hits the stage. We're
Mhm.
also really picky on who gets into the audience.
Yeah, yeah,
So one of the things that's happened, like right now, most promenade venues and most Davos venues are tiny, like 50 people, 70 people. So certainly not the 500 people you might have in a Marriott.
yeah, yeah.
So what it means then is that we want the right people in the audience. Now, I think for the quantum event, we had 500, 600 people applying.
Yeah, yeah. And it was very target rich. In other words, it was the right level of people and kind of the people that you really wanted to talk to. And, even I could tell you that for me, a lot of the people that I ended up talking to, I either did deals with them after the fact or I'm doing deals with them now. So, one of the people that have actually asked me to provide a private education around quantum are the ones that I had met in the conference, Mark. And so it's a great place to do deal making and kind of meet the players because if they're showing up to your event, and especially last year I talked about quantum computing, there's so much out there that people can go to. So if they're showing up to your event, they really want to learn about that, and they've got ideas, they want to cooperate, and you get all ages, all people doing all kinds of crazy stuff, which I find very interesting. So I meet every year. It doesn't surprise me, just the different level of work that people are doing and how exciting it is. So that's why I make it a point now to try to join every year and be part of what you're doing, Mark.
Well, and I think I mean really, and I'm really, really pleased to hear that. And by the way, that does definitely highlight that the Davos is all about the follow-ups.
Mm.
It's hard to get that across. I mean, if you don't do decent, I mean, the thing that, but Davos is weird. You can do like, I mean, I've got literally like my stacks of business cards here, my Davos stacks, and these business card things, I take the top 5 off the list that I have to contact. I then struggle to ever do the next 10. Now, the thing is, though, one business card makes enough money to cover the year.
Yeah.
So, to some extent, you can get a very good yield from Davos by being mildly okay to crap. I think then what I'm fascinated by, I mean, this year I've just gone whatever about 5 or 10x over anything that I've done before because it was better planned with follow-ups. But I mean, but that highlights, I think, for the sponsors. So for the sponsors, it's not you shouldn't just think about it as cutting a check. Now, thank you. If you want to cut a check, sure. But you're really looking at to say, how does this fit into the objectives that you have? Who is it that you want to speak? Who do you want to be positioned towards? Do you have another thing that I'm finding out, that I'm having very good conversations with people, giving them ideas to say, what are you going to offer people to do in March and April and May? Because if that company is saying, look, we want to sponsor, we want to be associated with health, brilliant. Are you inviting people to a follow-up event? If you
Yeah.
have your big office in Manhattan, are you inviting people to go to your Manhattan thing in May?
Yeah.
So planning a follow-up. The thing is, plan your follow-up, ideally December, or worst case, beginning of January. Because if you decide to plan your follow-up in February, before you know it, it's June, and you didn't
Yeah.
invite anybody.
Yeah, and then they'll forget about you because even while you're meeting hundreds of people a day, they're meeting hundreds of people a day. So it's important that you distinguish yourself. And so I would definitely suggest. I saw somebody asking about what recommendations. Number one, I would say get your QR code as your lock screen so that you can show people your QR code. There you go. This way you can exchange contact very easily. And but then there's a lot of people that give you business cards. And what I would do is take their business card and write something distinctive about them on the back of their business card so that later you're like, oh, I know who this person is, and you'll know how to follow up. And so what I usually do is I use HubSpot, and on the app you can scan the business card, so it'll take all that digital information, and then you can have certain template emails that you don't have to write the email up. Just say, hey, I saw you at Davos, fantastic, here's the stuff that I'm working on. And if any of you guys I've met, I'm sure you would have seen one of those template emails coming from me. And then this way I can get the message right away with very little work. So automation is your friend here because you're going to meet so many people. That's key.
But I've got like, can I give you a tip, Steve?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
can I upskill you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Please. Please.
so right now I've got my Chat GPT,
Yeah.
and I have a project in there called Conference Prospects. And
Okay.
what I do when I speak to somebody at a conference or a meeting, I then go in, I then do a quick, whatever, 1 minute voice message, which gets transcribed instantly, to say, this is the company, this is what I want. And so then it'll just make it for you. So for this one here, I'd met a company called Nebius. So Nebius is an incredible data center, one of Europe's champions. I met them. So my start of my chat was just Nebius proposal.
Mm.
And they'd already started to make a proposal. It worked out who Nebius was, what they want, and everything else. And I said, well, stop it. I want them right. Like, and so I then ended up making a proposal to invite them to join the summit. And that meant that within 10 minutes of me walking away from the stand, I'd already sent it to them. So I think there's a whole bunch of whatever sneaky, clever AI ways that will have to sort of increase your hit rate dramatically, which is super
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But I do think there is a spontaneity that you need to have.
Yeah.
So I used to do voice recordings in with each of my business cards. But the thing that I always missed out was my assistant wouldn't understand my language. I wouldn't type it up. But I'm finding that at least with me dictating into GPT,
Yeah.
yeah, I do use Claude as well. I find Claude transcription to be terrible.
Mm.
And OpenAI's one is quite good. And all the other ones are terrible. I do use Fireflies for other stuff. But I'm just now thinking about other things for sponsors for tips. I think
Yeah.
that there is, I mean, some people do genuinely have a branding need. So they need to be visible. It's part of their plan, in their marketing thing. So one thing that I've looked at right now, you know, the Belvedere Hotel?
Yes. Yes, of course.
So the Belvedere Hotel has over 30,000 people that go it through the week.
Yeah.
Which means that it's around whatever, 8,000 people per day. And they all have to go through the lobby. Good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've been looking at so one thing that I'm just fascinated by as a technologist and as a sort of an optimizing person is that last year, a lot of this advertising was just whatever, a piece of cloth. And you try to go to you try to click on a QR code, it doesn't do anything. You try to swipe on it, it doesn't do anything. It falls over. So I've actually then been working out, there's going to be a sort of Davos media corner and ad space this year where we're using digital signage. And so people are then putting in, but you can put in a video. So we've got a couple of nonprofits. Avicii Foundation is one of them, where they'll be putting their brand video in for their incredible mental health thing, plus also Avicii's music was fantastic. You can't listen to it because there's no audio. But there are other things that I can see that sponsors that do need to have, let's say, visual reach, there are places for them to go to. I mean, even billboards on the street are also options too. So if people are thinking about that, definitely there are options. And digital is a good thing to do because it moves.
Yeah. Well, I guess, Mark, so quantum obviously is on the topic list for some of the stuff you're doing at the Mountain Plaza Inn. What other activities or what other topics are you going to be focused on?
So topics for us, we've got, so we have an event called Rewire the Organization. So this is then, it actually sort of highlights where Davos is going almost as a mentality. But so Rewire the Organization says, look, we believe and we see generally that organizations are going to go AI native and beyond and go into embodied AI.
Yep.
So rather than just being an order taker by having, let's say, sponsors turn up to say, here's some money, can I have a slot?
Yep.
We've actually said no. We're thinking through what's happening next in this area. We're partnering with people like in Quantum, we're partnering with UC.
Yep.
And we're then saying, well, okay, really, what's driving the industry? Because generally, I mean, January is an incredible time of year to basically set the whole year up. It comes perfect timing after Christmas. You've got a week's worth of work to queue things up. You've got a little bit of executive space. And then you can see the year. So right now, then Rewire the Organization for us is sort of combining whatever AI, strategy, digital transformation. Another one that I'm very excited by is I have actually there's a TEDx, which is also good. So we managed to bring in TEDx for the first time ever to Davos last year. And we're partnering up with TED, and it's TEDx Berlin travels to Davos.
Yeah.
Following the rules. But so that'll be 12 speakers, and the topic is on AI. And what's interesting is we're partnering up with countries and regional development agencies so that they're sponsoring. Now, technically, TED people, you can't whatever sponsor and speak. However, a lot of these countries have national champions, research professors, and so they're the ones that are coming in. Other ones that I really like, so deep tech is one of my passions, and that's where quantum is in there, but that's got space. How do you like the term embodied AI? Is that something that you're getting into?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very AI's got so many different facets to it that we're working on, and so it is interesting. I guess maybe for our viewers, you can kind of explain what that is.
Now, let's see if I can. So, well, actually, so easy way of looking at it. It's like, robot. We're different ways of robots. So at the moment, robots used to be pretty dumb. If you have a robot vacuum cleaner, it wasn't particularly smart. When you start to have, let's say, AI powered robots, it means then that more things can be done. And for me, the game changer was that there was, and maybe somebody can find it and post it into the chat thing. If you do a Google search, or an AI search for the Boston Dynamics robot dog and ChatGPT, that for me was completely eye-opening, because before you'd have some sort of programming that says go in and find a bucket. Whereas if because it's got a camera anyway, but now because it's got a microphone and it's got speakers and access to GPT, and GPT had access to its data files, it would go in and it would say, well, there are two buckets. Do you want the red one or the green one?
Yeah.
Before that, robots were basically really dumb. Now you basically add a large language model to it, even like relatively dumb math.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and we see that, but you're looking at a massive exponential scale, because then you can imagine whatever trillions of robots going around and doing stuff.
Absolutely.
Inside your body, outside.
Yeah, and you got companies like NVIDIA creating the chips for the brains. You got the software of OpenAI driving that. You've got Tesla maybe helping on the battery and the battery life. And so you have all these different companies coming together to really make that a reality. So I know in our conversation, we talked a little bit about quantum. So just a little bit about the audience is my focus is really around helping companies put together quantum strategies. And I do that through quantum education. So Mark, last year when I was on the stage, I was talking about releasing a course at MIT for
Okay,
quantum
yes.
for executives and government leaders. I was hoping I could release it at your event, but timing and the universe wasn't with us. But now we've got that out there. So for anybody interested, I just kind of put it out on the chat where we have a bundle of 5 courses. It's 5 courses. You get 7 certificates from MIT, and if you use the promo code Horizon X, actually this week you get a 17% discount. So yeah, take a look at that. And then the other thing from a quantum perspective is I'm the co-founder of this company called the Quantum Index, is where we're indexing how well industries are using quantum computing. So if you open that up, you can see we've got financial services, we've got automotive, we've got life sciences, and we just released our energy index. And so from a quantum perspective, that's kind of where I come in. So if anybody needs any support around quantum education, quantum strategy, or understanding who are the leaders in quantum in industry, that's what I focus on.
But I think, and we've been discussing having with some sponsors as well, having sponsored lunches. So
Yep.
maybe if I do a little detour into that and sing your praises for a while. So there are different ways of doing Davos. And so one thing that works very well are breakfast, lunches, and quite often dinners as well. But breakfast and lunches work well. And this is where you basically have an expert lunch that is sponsored. So this will be where, generally speaking, you're not going to have whatever 50 top people say, wow, your head of sales is going to be doing a talk. Not massively likely, but already I'm back in 2008, I went to an EY dinner with Peter Diamandis, who just published Abundance, was just about to come out. So he X-Prime, all this stuff. And so right now it was an incredible draw. You learned lots. I mean, for me, this was it was a great eye-opening stuff. And I was already an expert in crowdsourcing, but for me, it was next level stuff. The people that were sitting at my table, this was next level stuff, and we had next level conversations. And you're looking at senior directors of banks, oil companies, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the sponsor, there's a lot of interest right now, but sort of get it now before it goes, about companies sponsoring lunches or breakfasts, bringing in an expert speaker, not overloading it, but creating these intentional spaces to gather people together around some content. And so that's something to think about. So if anybody's got that in mind, but let me now tell you the problem with that is that there are very few restaurants that you could even use. And also the city is clamping down on unauthorized catering. You need to get,
Oh,
if you're going
wow.
to do catering in certain places, well, it's a food safety issue.
Yeah. No, well,
There are many promenade venues that literally do not have a kitchen.
yeah.
And they're not allowed to drive a truck down the street. I mean, it's not unheard of in Davos things that you have people running around a street with whatever sort of bags of strudel.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what it means then is that if you are thinking about doing something on Wednesday lunchtime and you've got 2 restaurants that you're speaking to, if you say, well, give me a week, well, it will be gone in a week. And then you'll be saying, yeah, but I want it. And you go, okay, that's fine. So what? Doesn't matter. We haven't yet invented parallel universes, and we can't do 2 at the same time. And
Yeah.
so I think that people just have to realize that at a certain point, well, and for me, I think this is partially an issue about how Davos has grown and how it's become a little bit WEF-like to some extent. Because WEF people, I don't want to say don't fuck around. What I mean to say is that they don't mess around. Sorry. But so
Yeah,
right now they know
yeah,
how the game works. I mean, you were at HSBC before, so you're a big company guy, and you either do or you don't do, and you're yes, no, but you don't like sit on your hands for 2 weeks and think about it. What the hell?
yeah. 20 years a bank. So I'm a recovering banker. Yeah. I'm conscious of time. I'm going to put my LinkedIn if anybody wants to connect up with me. I put a lot of information out in quantum, but I want to kind of give this back to you guys to say, what questions do you have? You've got Mark and you've got myself. We can definitely answer any questions, anything that we haven't covered. As you can tell, we're very excited about Davos. We're looking forward I'm looking forward to seeing Mark face to face back at Davos and making some stuff happen, and working with companies to make sure that we can help them really get their message across. And it's an exciting time. So please don't be shy. Ask your questions here. Please, no math questions tonight. It's a bit late here, and but I'd love to kind of hear from you and see what questions you have, either about Davos, about quantum, yeah, anything like that.
Yeah, go for it. Anybody want to put up their hand? And
Yeah,
this can be any topic.
I say
whatsoever.
we put up your hand and let's showcase some people there, Mark. I'd love to showcase some people that are brave enough to ask their questions publicly. And I see a couple of familiar names. Scott, you're one of them, so I'm hoping you'll ask some questions and stuff. But all right, Jim. So, Jim, we got to get Jim off of mute. And Mark, I just saw somebody ask about badges, so you definitely should be talking about badges.
Mute and unmute.
There we go.
Oops,
Thanks, whoever unmuted me. Mark, good to see you. Steve, thanks for this. Who is organizing the Davos Berlin TEDx?
That is a guy called Stefan Balzer. So I will get his information from Telegram and I will pop it in. Okay. Let me do that. So yes, I'll get you the information on that. So, and it's partnered with Davos Summit. So I'm still a good person to speak to, but just on the content side for Quantum is Steve, Stephen Balzer. By the way, you don't have to be called Steve or Stephen to run a program, or Stephanie, but it seems to really help. I think we have an algorithm that just says if the first five letters of your name
just spits them out. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, but that'd be Stefan.
Thanks, Jim. We'll go ahead and add that. I saw there was a question around, do you recommend all buying a badge for access to some events? I could tell you that Davos it's all pretty boring if you don't have because your access gets limited. So I would definitely recommend getting a hotel badge.
It's actually, shall I just sort of shade this a little bit? So to some extent, it depends on, let's say, how WEF-like you are, how investor-focused you are, what your budget is. I mean, a hotel badge generally will set you back kind of like around 1,000 francs. And that's because events at the Belvedere are very expensive and you can't just get a hotel badge from the police. I think at the same time, there are people that have got a lot of activities in different places and they physically can't spend that much time in the hotels. I think, though, for a certain type of whatever web person, so for like you and I, Steve, it's essential. Like, wouldn't even dream about not having a badge. I think, though, for people that might be first timers, might be a little bit, because the other thing then is that if you don't know what a hotel badge is, that means you probably, or very unlikely, will you be invited to any events in a hotel, which means that you'll get a hotel badge, you'll stand at the lobby, and you don't know what to do. So
you'll be jonesing for a hotel badge by the end of it, because you're not going to get into some things anyway.
We're good.
Excellent.
Advit, sorry.
Thanks very much, Mark and Steve. Very interesting. I had a question for Mark, just to pick his brain here. You had a very interesting article that I read about how to maximize Davos time, and I was wondering about the criteria that you recommend for prioritizing those indirect multipliers. So those who are not going to fund or partner immediately, but who can shape access, narratives, or credibility.
So first of all, I mean, I look at the world as being made of connections and networks. So what that means then is that, so if you, let's say, if you meet a school teacher in Davos, they might be connected to the school teachers in Davos, but you're not going to go too much further than that. If you meet somebody that runs Paris Blockchain Week, they'll be very connected in the blockchain scene. And even if they're not directly useful, if you're friendly with them, maybe you get invited and you spider into their network as well. So one thing that I look at in terms of is this sort of almost like, say, what type of networks are you in? The next thing then is that generally Davos is, if you are a transactional person in Davos, people will treat you as a transaction, and most people don't want to transact with you. So I think one of my sort of minor level creepy moments was actually at an investor reception. We hosted it on Davos on the Tuesday, and there was a lady going around saying, people, are you an investor? And if you said no, she just ran off. And I found this is the most uncool thing you could possibly do, because also investors would be listening to her and like, well, I'm not going to say yes. So she just didn't do it very well. I think, though, I mean, time is still very precious. So if you find out that you're talking about whatever you're thinking about going to Turkey on holiday, you probably are having the wrong conversation. But I would say it's probably your fault. So you might need to skip out. But I think be polite. The other thing is that you should already do, everybody should practice their escape routine. And that can even be when it's brilliant. Now, you need an escape routine because you have to go to a different event. You have an escape routine because you have to go to the toilet. You have to go to an escape routine because that person is like, you just need to, so you need an escape routine. Oh, hang on for a second. I just need to take this. Okay. That's an escape routine. Just one moment. So, but I think that's why, I mean, ultimately, exchange QR codes. Now, unfortunately, WhatsApp QR scanning is kind of crap, because when you scan a WhatsApp QR code, it comes up with a blank person's name. Then you kind of have to hand over your phone to the other person to type in the name, because you can't remember their name, but you don't want to mistype it because you can't remember them anyway. LinkedIn, therefore, is better. But what you should do on LinkedIn is ideally connect, but then LinkedIn has around a 45 to 60-second delay, so you can't actually see the person coming in. Probably, Steve, I would imagine you and I are the same. We can get 45 connection requests every hour in Davos. So
easily.
so it's quite right. And then you can't remember the person's name. And it's not your fault or their fault. And so, but if you do, then the ideal is to send the message as quickly as possible to say, hey, fantastic meeting you at the deep tech event on robotics. Let's follow up. And then you send them a Calendly or cal.com link for your booking time slots.
Yeah. And maybe later, Mark, you can tell them about how to use shortcuts on your phone to just type in 3 characters and it already pre-populate everything you just said, so that it makes it very easy. But let's go to Alexandra.
Yes, we have Alexandra. Yes.
Hello. Pleasure being on the call today. And I enjoyed many of your tips and materials last year when I went to Davos for the first time. And always good to get more tips. So I thought I would just share that I know very little, but once you've been there once, you know quite a lot more than most of the world, just from having experienced it. And I assume that each time you're there, you just know more and more and more. So I love getting the tips and advice. At the same time, I think that what Steve said about being opportunistic and being able to pivot is very important as well, because I met some wonderful people while I was there who invited me to things, got me into things where people had said no and rejected me and I wasn't on the list, and they were able to get me in because I was with them. And so not that I was trying to be transactional and hanging out with those people, but people are in many cases just very open and friendly. They're there to do business. They want to be helpful. And some of these events that might have turned you down before too, if they don't have the turnout that they were hoping for, sometimes they'll just let you in or let extra people in. So
absolutely.
I think being opportunistic is important. And thank you for putting on.
No, for sure. Well, and also being nice to people, because the thing is, you have no idea who's watching you. So when you're shouting at somebody, you have to be really careful, because in all likelihood, the person who's running the event that you're about to go to next is watching you, be it for picking. And so, and right now, not anybody specifically, but right now, then this like karma does kind of loop itself around. So, I mean, you know what it's like when you're complaining at somebody at the air, like queuing on the airplane, and you've been queuing and you're like basically like nudging them with your suitcase because you're just really pissed off with them. You know you're going to be sitting next to them on an 11-hour flight. Like, this is how karma works.
Excellent. I think we probably have enough time for 2 more questions, and then we'll kind of close up the call.
I can just sort of do the sharing thing. So this is then my text replacement. So on your iPhone, you go to text replacement. And so right now, if I look at some of my favorites that I have VVB is what I do because that's my calendar thing. And now I've decided that I want to be nice to people and personalize LinkedIn messages. So when anybody then messages, like connects with me, I type in LINKK. I then tap in and I change the 3 X's. If I've ever sent you lots of kisses, it's because I then manually then read the person's name and put it in. If I want to send you over, welcome to Davos Week, I type in DWW. What it's meant for me is that handling a 3,000 person community is minutes, it's not hours. And it's, and my view is that, I mean, I exist to help others. I can help people quite often by sharing stuff. And since if I'm helping one with sharing stuff, another 10 people need the same. And that's kind of what we're doing here with this webinar. So, Rob, so Steve, we were having personal chats. We just thought, well, how about we have a personal chat with an audience?
Exactly. And
that's where it came from.
I think you're a giver like I'm a giver. We like to kind of give and give to the universe. And there's so much knowledge that we like to share. And obviously, I really appreciated everything that you brought to that made Davos a great experience for me. And then now that I can share my expertise on the stuff I'm doing around AI, around innovation, around quantum, and open other people's eyes about that. And it's actually really exciting to get people involved in this industry that's growing and very excited to be part of. So thanks for giving me that platform. And listen, I'm looking forward to seeing anybody on this call, meeting face to face. If you see me at Davos or you come to the Mountain Plaza Inn or see me on the promenade walking, which you're going to run into people left and right, say hello, and I'd love to catch up with you.
Very definitely. And Steve, I'm hugely appreciated you joining in, really stepping in and sort of, and before then, and sort of stepping into this much wider community. I mean, maybe then just in some concluding thoughts from me as well, is that, I mean, there are a lot of people that have done really quite well through Davos, and this is extremely important. Otherwise, we wouldn't come back. So I think there are other ways that we could spend a week. What I would say is that if you have managed to whatever cash out 1 million, 5 million, etc., you should support the community. So we are planning to have a really good party on the Thursday night for the Magic Davos party. And so I myself, I think last year I bought whatever 50 costumes. Now I don't have 50 bodies, so I couldn't wear 50 costumes, but I thought it would be cool for at least 50 people to have funny costumes. So what I would just say, I mean, it's got a couple of things in there, is that there is still a community thing to this. Now, there does have to be business, things do have to be paid, but there is that we do realize that we get something from it, but we're not transaction people, we're relationship people. And then it's because of that, things get bigger and better every time. And where you can contribute, and whether it's sometimes your time, your skills, your inspiration, your energy, etc., all of this stuff is good to help keep growing this thing and keep improving the quality. So, thank you, Steve. Thank you also to Robin and the Undavos team as well. Thank you all for joining as well, and the LinkedIn people as well that are listening on the live stream. And for those people that will be listening to this, who knows, in 2 or 3 years' time. I'm sure that the information is still useful then. But thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mark, do we close up, or what do we do?
Yeah, we close up. I've got a call right now that I'm 2 minutes late for.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you ever so much. Really, really good. Totally appreciate it. And to be continued, but nice work. It's good.
Yeah. Well done. Thank you.
Renato, ciao. Bye.
Thanks, Robin. Bye.